Welcome to Let's Learn Korean Lesson 7. Today, let's take a look at the characteristics of Korean that you should know before learning Korean. Shall we start it? Korean sentences have a different structure from English. Look at this sentence.
저는 한국을 좋아해요. 저
Means I.
한국
Means Korea.
좋아해요.
Means like.
저는 한국을 좋아해요.
It means I like Korea. English sentences have a structure in which subjects, verbs, and objects are ordered. However, Korean sentences are arranged in the order of subject, object, and verb. In Korean, verbs are placed at the end of sentences.
저는 이번 주말에 친구를 만나요.
It means that I am meeting my friend this weekend.
저는 이번 주말에 친구를 만나요.
The verb is placed at the end of the sentence.
같이 여행 갈까?
It means that shall we go on a trip together?
같이 여행 갈까?
In interrogative sentences, the verb also comes at the end of the sentence. The first characteristic of Korean is that verbs are placed at the end of sentences. That is, Korean has a sentence structure in which the subject, object, and verb are in order, SOV. The second characteristic of Korean is that adjectives in Korean sentences work like verbs. Adjectives in Korean have the function of describing things or states by themselves. In other words, adjectives function as predicates without the help of verbs, not as modifiers. Look at this sentence.
하늘이 푸르다. 하늘
Means the sky.
푸르다.
Means blue, it's an adjective.
하늘이 푸르다.
It means that the sky is blue. This sentence
하늘이 푸르다.
is a perfect sentence without a verb.
하늘이
Is the subject. And the adjective,
푸르다.
predicate the subject, without a verb.
그 운동선수가 정말 민첩해요. 그 운동선수
Means the athlete.
정말
Means really.
민첩해요.
Means agile.
그 운동선수가 정말 민첩해요.
It means that the athlete is really agile. In this sentence, the subject is
그 운동선수가 정말
is a adverb,
민첩해요.
is a adjective. This is a complete sentence even without a verb. In Korean, adjectives act like verbs, so a sentence can be complete without a verb. Now, I am going to talk about the third characteristic. In Korean, there are words called particles. They are usually attached after nouns. By doing so, they indicate whether the noun is a subject, an object, or an adverb. Sometimes they add meaning. First, let's look at the previous two sentences. The red letters you see are particles. Here they are all attached after the nouns. When the particle
는,
or
은,
is attached, it means that it is in contrast to the other, or indicates that it is the topic to talk about.
는,
Indicates that the topic to be talked about is speaker himself, and contrasts with others. These two sentences mean that, unlike others, the speaker likes Korea, and is meeting a friend this weekend. These two particles
을,
and
을,
make the noun an object. So,
한국을
and
친구를
are the objects in the sentences. And, this particle, a. It is attached to time nouns or place nouns to form adverbs. It is used like a preposition in English. In this sentence, the a is attached to the time noun,
주말,
weekend, so it became an adverb, on weekend. These two particles e and ka are particles that are attached to a noun so that the noun becomes the subject of the sentence. So,
하늘이,
and
운동선수가,
are the subjects of the sentences. One of the characteristics of Korean is the particles, which are usually attached after a noun to make the noun a subject, object, or adverb, sometimes adding meaning. Korean verbs and adjectives conjugate variously. In previous, I've talked about that verbs are placed at the end of the sentences, and adjectives don't modify things, but describe things or states in sentences, like verbs. So adjectives are also placed at the end of sentences. The conjugation of verbs and adjectives determines the type or tense of a sentence, and is also used to express listing or linking. And it also can be a modifier, a noun form, or an adverb form. For example, there is a word, verb.
먹다,
It means to eat. Let's see how the verb 먹다 conjugates. It's,
먹어요,
it is an informal sentence ending, in the present tense. You can say something like,
저는 지금 아침을 먹어요.
next is.
먹자,
It is a sentence-ending expression asking to do something together. So,
먹자,
means let's to eat. You can say something like,
같이 먹자.
next is.
먹고,
It is an expression used to connect sentences without ending a sentence. If you had dinner and watched a movie yesterday, you can say,
저는 저녁을 먹고 영화를 봤어요.
next is.
먹은,
It modifies things and expresses past actions. If you want to talk about the food you ate yesterday, you can say,
어제 먹은 음식은,
next is.
먹으니,
It is an expression used when the action becomes the background or reason for something. Suppose you are hungry and have no energy. But after you have eaten, you can say like this.
음식을 먹으니 힘이 나요.
Besides these, there are many more conjugations. The part that does not change when a verb is conjugated has its own meaning. So, this letter, mug, has the meaning of to eat. And these conjugation parts have only grammatical functions. It's an adjective.
좋다,
It means good. Conjugation of adjectives is similar to verbs, except that they have no action.
좋아요.
It is an informal expression and ends a sentence. When you want to say that the quality is good, you can say,
품질이 좋아요. 좋고,
it is a listing or linking expression. You can say,
품질이 좋고, 모양도 좋아요.
next.
좋은,
It modifies person or things. You can say,
좋은 친구,
good friends,
좋은 날씨,
good weather. And next.
좋으니,
It is used in the sense of do to be good. When you feel refreshed with good weather, you can say,
날씨가 좋으니 상쾌해요.
so far, the characteristics of Korean have been briefly described. Those are very important, and you will come across very often while studying Korean. In the future, I will make a YouTube lecture that explains these in detail. Thank you for watching. See you next time.